Okay, I had to pause the video for a second because I'm recording with my my Samsung, and it just said that I had reached the capacity of the size, so I didn't want for it to cut off in the middle of the thought. Okay, so now let's get back. So now let's go back. Let's go to Romans 3. Romans 3. This is Shaul speaking, right? See, because we have to understand that whenever Shaul is speaking about the word of Yah and the word of truth or what have you, he's not talking about anything that he said to anybody. He's only basically talking about what the Most High had already spoke to the nation. And as we just disclosed in that Acts 7:38, the Most High gave a lot of the oracles to Moshe and then to our fathers, right, to give to the children. So how do those of us who are here today get it, right? We got it from our fathers we got it from our fathers who got it from their fathers who got it from Moshe, who got it from the Most High. See the chain now? All right. Was no other Gentile nations, was no Japhetic nations, there was no Hamitic nations. This was the nation of Israel, or Yasharal, who the Most High gave the oracles to. All right, let's continue. Let's go to Romans 3. All right, Romans 3. We're going to read verse 1 and 2.
What advantage then hath the...
Now, King James says Jew, okay? But the Hebrew word is Yahudim. Or Yahudim. Okay, go ahead.
What advantage then hath the Yahudim, or what profit is there of circumcision?
Mm-hmm.
Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of Yah.
See that? So the oracles of Yah, or the word of Yah, or the word of truth was committed to who? The children of Yasharal. That's who the oracles was committed to. We read it. Read that verse 2 one more time.
Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of Yah.
So the oracles of Yah was committed to the Yahudim, or those that came of the southern kingdom. The southern kingdom, historically, without going into a long lesson, the kingdom was divided in the days of King Shlomo after his death, when he had married all of these wives and these concubines that had built up altars to worship their deities. The Sunday worship was one of them, right? And that's where you get your Sunday worship from. Okay? So the Most High prophesied to him through the mouth of the prophet, who wrote it down in the scroll, that he was going to break his kingdom in half and give the northern kingdom to his servant, and he would preserve the southern kingdom for his son, for his father David, or David's sake, right? So the southern kingdom became known as Yahudim, right? So now I'm giving you the whole history in a nutshell. The northern tribe in 2 Kings chapter 17 went into captivity into Babylon, never came back. The northern tribes were called Israel. The southern tribes was called Yerushalayim, or Judah. So with the southern tribes, you had some of Levi, or Levi was mixed in there. You had some of Benjamin, or Benjamin was mixed in there, and the tribe of Yehuda. So when we see the terminology Jew, right, that is making a reference to the southern kingdom and those that were in that kingdom, that some that were not actually Yehudites, but the kingdom of Yehuda became I should say the tribe of Yehuda became known as a nation of Yehuda. So everybody that was in that nation, just like in America, they call you an American, right? If you lived in the nation of Yehuda, or Jerusalem, they called you a Yahudim. See it? So now in the New Testament writings, they have made a reference to Jew, which is incorrect because that is a substitution and not a transliteration. Hey, right? Because Jew, the word originally was Judah. And Judah is not a transliteration Jew. How you like that? And a transliteration is an exchanging of letter for letter into the other language. So Yehuda does not transliterate Jew. Okay? So you got Judah or Yahuda, right? And when you speak of more, you put the I-M on it, so it becomes Yahudim. It's like saying a teacher is a more. More than one teacher is called a morim. See that? So one Judah or Judite, one, a multiple amount of Judites will be called Jew or Yahudim, not Jew. Take that Jew out. Yahudite, right? Because there was no J during those times. The J is not even in the Hebrew language. There is no J in Hebrew language. So the J sound was a Y sound. Okay, that's why you have hallelujah, right? And not hallelujah. Okay, just learn a little something. We learn something. So now that we understand that the oracles was committed to those who came back into the land of Yasharal after the Babylonian captivity. So during the days of the Messiah, the Mashiach, Yeshua, who was in the land during that time? Yahudim. Okay, the nation of Yahudim, which also included, and you could prove this if you research in history, that some of the other tribes end up merging back into the kingdom of Yahudim. Not as a whole tribal people, but different ones in fragments came. And how do we know that? We can go to Acts chapter 2 and we'll see that. On the day of Shabbat, what the world calls Pentecost, when they came from all these other nations and they heard the people speaking in their native tongue where they were, right? Some of those came from Babylon. Who went to Babylon? The northern tribes. So how did they come back to Jerusalem during that time? It was a call to come home. It was an ingathering feast, right? Shabbat. Okay, now, I'm sorry, not ingathering feast. It was a call to order to a feast. Okay. Now let's go to Hebrews. Hebrews 5, and we're going to read 11 and 12. Hebrews 5, verse 11 and verse 12. Okay.
Of whom we had many things to say, and hard to be uttered, seeing ye are dull of hearing.
All right, go read up before that. Let's see, read up to, oh man. Oh, well, where's a good starting point there? Okay, take it up to 1 then. Go ahead and read down.
For every high priest taken from among men is ordained for men in things pertaining to Yah, and that he may offer both gifts and sacrifices for sins. Who can have compassion on the ignorant and on them that are out of the way? For that he himself also is compassed with infirmity. And by reason hereof he ought, as for the people, so also for himself, to offer for sins. And no man taketh his honor unto himself, but he that is called of Yah, as was Aharon. So he also, the Mashiach, glorified not himself to be made an high priest, but that he said unto him, Thou art my son, today have I begotten thee. As he saith also in another place, Thou art a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek.
That's a whole nother lesson right there. But basically, the order of Melchizedek, or Malak Sadak, is how you say it in the Hebrew tongue, was the original call that the Most High had established for the nation of Yasharal to be a kingdom of priests like Malak Sadak. And then Malak Sadak was actually a king, a literal king, and he was not Yahshua, was not a pre-existing Yahshua. That's another lesson for another time. But he was a literal king. And you can read that in the book of Jasher, book of Yashar, okay? All right, so let's go to, let's continue, okay?
Who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard in that he feared. Though he were a son, yet learned he obedience by the things which he suffered. And being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obey him, called of Yah and high priest after the order of Melchizedek.
All right. So to those, now keyword, we just read something you gotta acknowledge. He said, to those that obey him. Not that just believe, have faith. Faith is, and we talked about this morning, my Ish and I at breakfast. Faith to the Christian is luck, is magic. You know, you close your eyes, you pray, and it happens, right? That's what they call a miracle, miracle of faith, right? That's not what the biblical faith of Yah is. The biblical faith of Yah is hearing what he says, right? And responding to what he has called you to do. Like in the case with, we go to Hebrews chapter 11, we're not going to do it, but the Most High called Abram, right? And told him, gave him a promise. And it was the faith of Abram was what? Him hearing what the Most High promised and him doing what? Exercising a corresponding action to see the finished result. It's kind of like what Shaul said something about, I press towards the mark for the prize of the high calling, right? Of the Messiah, which is of Yah, which is in the Messiah, Yahshua. So what he's saying, he says, I don't just believe it or think it, but I press towards that mark. I'm striving, aiming for that mark, right? I'm not just believing it, oh, it's going to happen. But I am actively participating in doing what I'm supposed to do, my part, to see the promise come to pass. That's what faith is, not just believing it. Oh, hey, I believe in it. Oh, it's going to happen. No, that's not faith. That is foolishness, okay? All right, now, continue. Go ahead.
Of whom we have many things to say, and hard to be uttered, seeing ye are dull of hearing. For when for the time you ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of Yah, and are become such as have need of milk, and not of strong meat. And everyone that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But the strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those whom by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil.
Right. So you see, so now we have, again, we're talking about oracle of Yah, that he called the teachers to be teachers why you still feel the need to teach. You know what milk is and not meat? Milk is teaching people to be obedient. That's milk. Right? Milk is being disobedient to your parents, disobedience to Yah, disobedient to the truth. All right? That was from my granddaughter. But disobedience to Yah is milk. You know, it should be self-explanatory by now that we're supposed to obey the Most High, right? So why is it that we need somebody to teach us to be obedient, right? But here he says that strong meat belongs to those that are full age. So how do you know that you are full age? When you've already fixated, as they say, in your spirit that I'm going to obey Yah. And I look for excuses to disobey. Once you have fixated that in your heart, you've gotten past the milk stage. Now the Most High can deal with you on some meat. But until you get in your mind that obedience is better than sacrifice, you're still on milk. See, grace, the doctrine of grace is a doctrine of milk. Because grace says I don't have to do nothing. All I got to do is just believe. All right. I'm using a magic formula. I don't have to obey the law because the law is cruel. I have to obey the Old Testament. The Old Testament is cruel. So, but if I just believe what the Most High said, if I just believe in Jesus, hey, everything will be all right. That's milk. But meat says, oh, I believe, and because I believe, therefore have I spoken, right? And when you speak it, then eventually you're going to act it. That's a whole nother lesson, right? Okay. Now, so the Most High said that we should be teaching the first principles of the oracle of Yah. So what is that first principle? We already read it. We read it in Exodus 19, Shemot 19, where he said, if you will obey my voice indeed, right? That's the first oracle. You can't go to the next level until you get obedience under the belt. Doesn't mean you're not going to fall, but what it means is that you have fixated in your heart that obedience is better than sacrifice. So therefore, every word that the Most High said, Yahshua the Messiah said, man shall not live by bread alone, but by what? Every word that proceed out of the mouth of Yah does man live. So what? That's what the oracle is. Not we're under grace. The New Testament of grace. But the oracle is the first principles of obedience. Okay? We can pull out 100 verses, even where Shaul talks about obedience. Right? To who you yield your members to obey him you are serving. Right? Is that Romans somewhere? Right? So if you yield your members to be obedient unto the flesh or unto Satan, Hasatan, then you're serving him. But if you yield your members to be obedient to the Most High Yah, then you're serving him. That goes for you, me, and everybody else. I'm not perfect. But one thing I do know, I have a call and I have been commanded to be obedient. That's the first oracle. Obedience. That's why we keep the Shabbat. Okay, now let's go to 1 Peter 4 and 11. 1 Kepha 4 and 11. All right. Let's see. Do I want 4 and 11? Or do I want? Let's start at verse 9 and read down and read to 11. Okay.
Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man have received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Yah. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Yah. If any man minister, let him do it as the ability which Yah giveth,
See
that
that?
Yah in all things may be glorified through the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen.
Okay, so we are called to speak as the oracle of Yah, not as the doctrine of the church, not to speak as the oracle of the doctrine of Paul or Peter or James or John or Timothy or did I get them all? Okay. But we are to speak as the oracle of Yah from the very beginning, which I like Acts brought it out. We said at Mount Sinai. That's the oracle. If anybody teaching anything different, they're not teaching the oracle. They're not teaching the word of Yah, or in your vernacular, the word of God. Because that is the oracle. Obedience to every word that proceeds out of his mouth. Right now. Okay. Now let's go to, we're going to deal with the word of Yah, and we're going to use the next word, which is scriptures. Okay. I made mention earlier in this lesson, I'm just about finished, that the writings of the New Testament are not scripture. I will stand on it until I die. Okay. The writings of Paul are inspired letters, just like the others are, and we read them to compare them to what the Most High spoke in his word, which is what? The oracle, which is what? His law and the prophets. Okay. So let's go to Matthew 21. And let's see. Let's see. You can handle that. Go ahead. Matthew chapter 11 and verse 41. Let's see. Let's go up a little bit. This is a parable here. Let's start at verse 33. Matif Yahu, chapter 21, verse 33. It says, "Here another parable. There was a certain householder, right, which planted a vineyard and hedged it round about, and digged a winepress in it, and built a tower, and let it out to husbandmen, and went into a far country. And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen, that they might receive the fruit of it. And the husbandmen took his servants, and beat one, and killed another, and stoned another. Again, he sent other servants, more than the first, and they did unto them likewise." This parable is deep, right? "But last of all, he sent unto them his son, saying, They will receive my son." Think about that now. 38. "But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance." Are you allowing your spirit to perceive in the contemporary time what has happened here? I'll let the Ruach minister to you on that one there. So we're in Matthew 21, verse 39. So they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard and slew him. And when the master therefore of the vineyard cometh, what will he do unto these husbandmen? So now, just recap here real quick, okay? There was a householder in verse 33 which planted a vineyard, okay? So who was the householder? That's the creator, right? In Genesis chapter 1, it said, and Yah planted a garden, right? And he planted in the vineyard and hedged it round about. Remember the story in the beginning when the Most High gave man the responsibility to till the ground, etc., but don't eat of this one particular tree, right? All right, continuing. Then he said he hedged it around about it and digged a wine press in it and built a tower and let it out to the husbandmen and went to a far country. So he said, now my creation, right? Adam and Kawah, put you in this garden for you to protect it. I'm gonna let you have it, let you have mean over it, right? So he left, went to a far country, right? Okay. And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen that they might receive the fruits thereof. And the husbandmen took his servants and beat one and killed another. So now we got a shift here, right? So now we're talking about the husbandmen being who? The nation of Yasharal. So the husbandmen took his servants, the ones, because when they disobeyed, just like the first man, Adam disobeyed when the Most High sent his oracle to bring him back, right? Adam complied, but his son didn't. Cain didn't comply. He was wicked and disobedient, right? All right. So he beat one and killed another and stoned another. Then verse 36 says, again, he sent another of his servants more than the first, and they did unto them likewise. So just like when the Most High called the nation of Yasharal and Yasharal disobeyed the Most High, just like Adam disobeyed the Most High, he kept sending prophets to them. And what they kept doing, they kept killing the prophet because they didn't want to obey the Most High. So just like they did back then, those of us who are teaching the Hebrew Israelites, the Yahudim, the believers, the saints, whatever you want to call yourself, to obey the Most High, what you do. Every time we teaching you to obey the Most High, you come back with a sledgehammer to chop it down. So we don't have to obey that. So you are the husbandmen that the Most High sent, because why? The Most High did what? When Israel disobeyed, he did what? He allowed the Gentiles to be grafted in. Right? He said, but you gonna be all right. I'm gonna paraphrase here. As long as you obey, but when you disobey, you're going to be cast away. Just like Yasharal, Israel was cast away from them disobeying, right? So we got the same parable here, right? All right, let's continue. And he sent other servants, verse 36, more than the first, and they did unto them likewise. But last of all, he sent to them his son, saying, they will receive my son. Okay, so the nation of Yasharal, the Most High sent through 42 generations his son, Hamashiach, Yeshua Hamashiach. Okay, they rejected him. Okay, sent him away, had him to be crucified, impaled, hung on the tree, right? All right, but last of all, he sent them his son, saying, they will receive my son. 38, but when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, this is the heir, come, let us kill him, and let us seize on him inheritance. And they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard and slew him. Now, and when the master therefore of the vineyard cometh, what will he do to these husbandmen? Now here's the kicker. Verse 41 says, they say unto him, we will miserably destroy those wicked men and will let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen, which shall render him the fruits in their season. Okay. So Yahshua said unto them, did you never read in the scriptures See that? The stone which the builders rejected, the same has become the head of the corner. This is Yah's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Okay? So, how many times have you heard people quote that? This is marvelous in his eyes, right? Okay. A marvelous, when you think about the marvelous, is marvelous a good thing in this particular scenario? It was a bad thing, wasn't it? But in today's Pentecostalism, when people quote that, they talk about something being so great. It's marvelous in my sight. No, a marvel is something that you look at and you say, wonder what that is. Now, oh, that's so great. Oh, marvelous, marvelous. So we've kind of reversed the meaning of the word marvelous to make it be something great. Oh, marvelous, marvelous, darling, right? But marvelous here was something that you look at and say, wow, what happened there? It wasn't a good thing, right? All right, now, let's move along. Let's go to Matthew 22. I'm gonna kind of try to piece verses and not read whole chapters. I like to read whole chapters, but for the sake of the time of this video, this lesson, we want to kind of try to get straight to the meat, okay? All right, so 22 and 29. and 29, verse 29, it reads as follows. Yeshua answered and said unto them, you do err, not knowing the scriptures nor the power of Yah. Okay, now let's back up for a second here. Let's read the verse 4 that. Verse 4 that says, therefore, this is talking about, they were asking about, let's go up and read a little bit. Okay, let's see. Now, therefore, this is verse 25. Now, there were with us 7 brethren, and the first, when he had married a wife, deceased, and having no issue, left his wife unto his brother. Likewise, the second also, and the third unto the 7th. So she had married 7 brothers. Y'all wouldn't do that in this day society. A woman married married brothers. When the husband died, she married his brother, and he died, she married his brother, and it kept on going down to the 7th brother. Y'all wouldn't do that. Not in this society, you wouldn't do that. You would look at that as a sin. But that was a law. That is the word of Yah, okay? All right? But anyway, be that as it may. Likewise, the second also, the third, and unto the 7th, and verse 27. And last of all, the woman died also. Okay, so she died after going through 7 husbands. Was she Hollywood? Was she a Hollywood wife? Therefore, in the resurrection, they asked the question, whose wife shall she be